Okay, we're going to learn about turning fractions into decimals. Fractions and decimals really are the same numbers, they're just written differently, just like percents. We'll get to that one later. To turn a fraction into a decimal, you must get a denominator that ends in, a denominator that's either 10, 100, 1,000, and so on, 1 with the zeros. So, we have to get a denominator over here of 10, 100, 1,000. This is very easy to turn into a 10. How will we do that? What could we possibly multiply times this to get 10? Well, if we multiply both of these numbers times 2, then we can get 4/10. The main rule you have to remember when working with fractions is that whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So if you're going to multiply the bottom times 2, you have to do the same with the top. So 2/5 becomes 4/10. Now, another thing that you're going to need in order to be able to turn fractions into decimals is you're going to need to know your place value when it comes to decimals. So, let me do this over here real quick. This is a decimal point. Okay? Now, everybody here is used to regular place values, ones, tens, hundreds. This is a decimal point. Anything on this side of the number is a whole number. Anything on the right side of the decimal point is part of a number. We don't start with ones, we actually start with tenths. So this section over here would be tenths, hundredths, and thousandths, 10,000ths, and so on. If this is 4/10, then we have to find the tenths section, which is right there. We stick a 4 in it. That's 4/10, which is written as 0.4. Okay? Okay, here we are for round 2. I'm going to try another fraction now. Suppose I start out with 3/20. We need to come up with a denominator of 10, 100, 1,000, and so on. Now, could I divide something into both of these so I can get a denominator of 10? Well, if I divide 20 by 2, I can get 10, but I can't divide 3 by 2. So I can't divide. I have to multiply. I have to go bigger. So we want to find a denominator. Obviously, we're going bigger. We're going to try to get a denominator of 100. What can I multiply times 20 to get 100? Well, for those of you who are not very good with your multiplications yet, just count by 20s. You just hold up your fingers, count by 20s until you get to 100. See how many fingers you use. Got 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. I use 5 fingers. So that means I multiplied 5 times. So 5 times 20 is 100. What is 5 times 3? 5 times 3 is 15. Now we have 15 hundredths. So if you say it properly, you should be able to figure out how to write it as decimal. 15 hundredths. Okay, this first place value after the decimal, that's tenths. This is hundredths. That means that the last number has to be written in there, which will come out to 0.15. Because that's tenths, that's hundredths. 15 hundredths. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you one last technique. If you know how to do division, like the long division style, there's another way to find, to transfer them into decimals. So here we go. Let's use the same one, 3/20. Alright, using the division method, make the bracket, and basically I would flip this over this way and put the 3 in here and the 20 here. Okay? Because that's what really a fraction is, it's division. Now, we all know that we can't divide 20 into 3. So what you do is you put a decimal point and you add a 0. Okay? I know I'm going to end up having that another 0 there, but let's show how we do this. How many times, let's pretend for a minute that the decimal's not there. How many times can I get 20 out of 30? Once. So 1 times 20 is 20. I get a remainder of 10. Well, I can still work with that. Let's stick another 0 on the end, and we'll drop that 0. Now we're working with 100. How many times can I get 20 out of 100? 5 times, as we figured out before. We have to raise this decimal point right up there. And look at that, we got our 1500s. 5 times 20 is 100. And we get a remainder of 0. So once you get your remainder of 0, you've got your decimals. Pretty easy, huh? Okay, we're going to try another example. This time we're going to try 9/18. There's nothing I can divide or multiply with 18 to get it to end with, have a denominator of 1000. So what I need to do is I have to reduce this to its simplest terms first. So I think of what is the biggest factor that I can divide into both of these. Well, I know that I can divide 3 into both of them, but there's a bigger number. So let me see. 5 won't go into them. 6 goes into this, but not that. 7 doesn't go into either. 8, no. 9 goes into 9. And 9 goes into 18. So I'm going to divide both of these by 9. 9 divided by 9 is 1. 18 divided by 9 is 2. So if you weren't able to tell right off the bat that this was 1/2, there you have it, 1/2. So 1/2. Let's go ahead and try that division way. So we flip it over clockwise. The 1 ends up in here, the 2 on the outside. We have to stick a decimal and a 0. Let's bring this decimal up. I can't get 2 out of 1. I can get 2 out of 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. And I get a remainder 0. I'm done. So my decimal for 1/2 is equals to 0.5. I hope that was easy. I hope this was helpful. My advice is to practice, practice, practice until you're a master.